Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's first video, doing the May 2019 month-ahead forecast for today's first video. So you're going to have a look at the CFSV2 and the Beijing Climate Centre to see what they're showing for May. We'll have a little review about April's forecast, have a sneak peek at the end for June. Just say that coming up later on this afternoon, we'll have your week's 10-day video update. That will be on the home page. So, the April forecast was for a rather warmer and drier than average April. We thought that the first part of the month would probably be rather cool and settled, but then we would go back into a warmer, drier pattern in the second half of the month. We said that although temperatures would be coming out above average, probably not as mild as February and March, and not as big a deviation as February and March, but nevertheless above average with temperatures below average with precipitation was kind of like the headline of the April forecast. Well, this is the April 2019 mean maximum temperature anomaly from the UK Met Office set against 1981 to 2010 climate averages. We see it was a warmer than average month across pretty much all parts of the country. The highest deviation to average, interestingly, was in the far northwest of Scotland. There we're kind of like 2.5 degrees or more above average in the extreme northwest of Scotland. Most places, however, coming out kind of like somewhere between 0.5 degree to 1.5 degrees above average, particularly across southern eastern parts of the country. Always sorts of mildest out in the west, interestingly. So it was a milder than average month, pretty much all parts of the country, except in the extreme east of East Anglia and some parts of northeastern England. Presumably that's because it had quite a lot of easterly winds, so there, obviously, with onshore winds, it would be a bit cooler. So I think that side of the forecast went quite well. It was a warmer than average month, a milder than average month, but not as big a deviation, except in the far northwest of Scotland. Not as big a deviation compared to February and to March as well. As far as precipitation is concerned, so again, most parts of the country coming out with a drier than average month, particularly these eastern parts of the country, but also large parts of north and west Scotland, southwest Scotland too, down into northern England, and then through much of the Midlands, East Anglia, central, southern, southeast England. Out to the west, it was closer to average there, so Wales, southwest England, Northern Ireland, coming out close to average. One or two places, kind of like North Wales, a little bit above average with precipitation. But generally, I think most parts of the country were either average or drier than average. And with a warmer than average month as well, I think the Gasworthy's April forecast went quite well this time. I'm really quite pleased with how the April forecast panned out. It was particularly warm, of course, in the second half of the month around the Easter period as well, so that side of the forecast went quite well too. So overall, I think we say that the April forecast was quite successful, quite pleased with it. And we'll get on with the May forecast right now. So this is what the CFSV2 is forecasting for May in terms of a 700 millibar height anomaly. Is going for an area of above average heights to be sitting over the UK and also to be going north as well, with below average heights in the middle of the North Atlantic. Lasers doing something a little bit like that with the flow, with the jet. So under a ridge of high pressure, you would expect another reasonably dry and fairly warm month if that was to come off. There's our temperature anomaly for May from the CFSV2. So overall, it's going for slightly milder than average temperatures, particularly to the north and west of the country, close to average through other parts of the country. It's just quite a cold or quite a chilly month anyway across these eastern parts of Europe. So it does look as though it could be one of those months where it's a bit warmer out in the west and perhaps a bit cooler over in the east. However, it's not a big anomaly for the UK. We're only a little bit above average in the north and west and close to average elsewhere. Precipitation anomalies do look pretty dry though, so it's going for a drier than average May. Not just for the UK, but actually through many parts of northern, central and western Europe as well. The more unsettled conditions look like they're in the extreme east and southeast of Europe. So a rather dry May coming up with high pressure dominated conditions again and slightly above average temperatures if CFS V2 is right. Let's have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre though. So this is the 500 millibar height anomaly for May 2019. It's going for quite an unsettled month really, a bit different to what CFS is showing, with below average heights in the Atlantic and extending into the UK as well. So that looks a more unsettled signal from the Beijing Climate Centre for May compared to what CFS is showing. Precipitation-wise, still above average temperature, so we're going for a rather milder than average month as well, not just for the UK, but for most parts of Europe as well. And precipitation-wise, though, this is a big difference compared to what CFS is showing. It's going for above average rainfall during the course of May, so quite an unsettled month there, not just for the UK, but for parts of Scandinavia as well. The driest conditions in the Beijing Climate Centre are in the south and the southeast of Europe. So it's a rather complicated month to forecast for us. May often is. We've got conflicting signals here between the CFS and the Beijing Climate Centre. So I suspect we will probably meet somewhere in the middle of these two, actually. So I think we are likely to have quite a cool and quite an unsettled opening to May. Certainly the first week, 10 days, possibly a couple of weeks, could be quite cool, quite unsettled. And then I would expect we get high pressure ridging in the second half of the month. In some ways, that's similar to what happened in April, actually, with the coolest, more unsettled conditions in the first half of the month and the warmest and driest conditions perhaps occurring in the second half of the month. Obviously, if those warm, dry conditions don't materialise in the second half of the month, then we will come away with a very unsettled and quite cool month, probably cooler than average. However, I'm not anticipating that. I'm anticipating that we'll have a cool, unsettled first half, followed by a warmer, drier second half, with the two kind of like offsetting one another a little bit. We may still come out a little bit above average with the temperature anomaly, especially if it gets hot at some point in the final week to 10 days. But overall, I suspect, again, we will see a decrease in the anomaly to average, if you see what I mean. So the peak of temperatures looks like it probably occurred, at least for the time being, back around February, and then March to April, and then February to March shows a bit of a drop, and then March to April shows another drop in the anomaly, and I suspect that will continue from April to May. So it probably still come out ever so slightly above average, but I doubt it will be that big a deviation. I think we'll have two halves offsetting one another. So close to or a little bit above average with the temperature anomaly would be my forecast for this May. Precipitation-wise, again, it looks quite unsettled to begin with, but then probably settling down later on, leading us to probably near normal precipitation once again. Obviously, though, if that drier weather doesn't come along in the second half of the month, then we come away with a much more unsettled month. That can't be discounted, but I think we will see enough anticyclonic influences in the second half of the month to offset the more unsettled first half of the month. So it's a month of two halves that we're going for with this May. Quite cool and unsettled first half, warmer, drier second half. The two kind of like offsetting one another, but still maybe a little bit above average with temperatures, and close to average probably with precipitation. It's a very complicated month to forecast for, though, as May usually is, so the forecast is delivered with low confidence. Finally, just having a look at the CFS V2 for June. This is what it's showing for June. So it wants to have above average heights to our east and northeast. So if we come over here, you can see that high pressure is going for a kind of like centre across eastern Europe as well, but it is extending something of a reach towards Scandinavia. Below average heights are off the coast of Portugal. So could be quite a warmish month back. That could be bringing up sort of southerly southeasterly winds, but this low pressure down towards Portugal and Biscay, that could provide the energy for rain and possibly even for thunder as well. So maybe quite an unstable, warm, unstable type month in June. Dare I say it, potentially a little bit thundery, perhaps. However, that's such a long way off that I think we're best to leave June alone, really. So, as far as May is concerned, Gazlo's May forecast is for A month of two halves, the first half looking cooler and more unsettled, the second half probably going warmer and drier, meaning that our temperature anomaly probably offsets one another from the first half to the second half, but still a little bit above average maybe, but it shouldn't be a particularly big deviation to average. And precipitation-wise, again, quite close to average. The unsettled first half tends to get offset by the second half of the month. We shall see how we get on, and as ever, we shall review the forecast when we get through to June. So come back later on this afternoon when we'll have your detailed week to 10-day video update. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.